This is the news! Basically, actually, it's Kustom Works. Let's get to the workshop! Alright then, so this time on Kustom Works, back of the 60s truck, it looks good, but the minute that door's open, it looks awful. And there's just so many bad things we've got to make look good and also make things a little bit stronger because it's just all flapping about back there. So, let's get some fiberglass, let's get some foam, and let's make this thing solid and real. On every project, there is a point where like this, you know, the shapes really get in there. But the outside shape, just the outside of the vehicle, it's not really the whole car, is it? Because I'm telling you now, it's probably like 30% of the car. All the bits that you really got to get right for your car to look nice are things like this. Now, as we know, the Continental kit opens on the 60s truck, and then we can get into this bit. But of course, there's big gaps here. Now, I've filled the gaps with some foam. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sculpt this foam into a nice shape, glass and fill over it. Now, me and Hot Rod legend Lee Cox spent hours a week or so ago just making this ramp come on and off, and the different bits, the gearbox on the bike. I know there's some bits around there. Brake is it? I don't know. Not really a motorbike guy, but you know, all this sort of stuff as it comes down gets in the way of this. So, you know, we filled it with foam and then we cut the foam back to a point where it will all sort of fit together. This really is important on a car. On YouTube, I've noticed, and I'm mentioning no names, but people finish a car just on the outside. You never see the interior, you never see in the trunk. You never see underneath trunk, yeah. You never see in the trunk, or boot, as we would call it here. But you never see any of those things. And it's because they just don't do them. They make the car, it's photo ready, and that's it. But here on Kustom Works, we go the full 9 yards. Nice and imperial. Not the full 9 meters, full 9 yards. And, you know, actually finish everything off. So it's a finished car. And making your car seem finished really does help. You know, someone walks around it, they see a rough edge, that's all they'll remember, the rough edge. They don't remember all the other good stuff. So this bit, super important. Also, you'll have to excuse the dog barking. Well, we've got that little dog Mooks, you might have seen. That's not her, that's another dog we're looking after for someone else. Because you know, when you've got one dog, people bring other dogs to your house. It's not like you can just have the one, you've got to have a few. And at the minute, that's what we've got. So my apologies for the dog shouting. I think it's called barking in the real world. Okay then, so this bit, we've got all this. I have sanded it before just to get it about there, but there was some holes and we had to cut this way further down than we wanted to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sculpt that to shape. I'm going to sculpt it to shape as he looks around not knowing where the tool is. I'm going to sculpt it to shape with this tiny belt sander because it's really good for this sort of thing. Once it's got that in shape, go over it with some fibreglass and just tie all this together. But like I say, you don't want it. People will gasp when this opens and this comes off, and then they'll look in and think, "Wow, it's just made of like second-hand dye bond and there's all gaps and stuff." It's just not good enough. So let's get to the sander. Let's make that shape. Now just to dial that in a bit better, I'm going to go over it with a DA and I'm going to rough up all this dye bond here because we want to get this as a really strong fiberglass box. though, it's got into quite a nice shape. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just straighten up this bit. This bit's running down a bit, I'm just going to bring that round and in line with this, where this all shuts up to. So just trim that off and then I'm about ready to get some glass on it. I've got all that tidied up and I'm going to glass that now. Now, I am going to paint this bit white, but I'm not going to paint all the way in there because, to be honest, you never really see it. So once I've bodyworked it, I'll choose a point and it will probably be about there, and I'll put in a, you know, something there that sticks up like a barrier, and that's where the white ends, and that's where it will go into the colour this car will be underneath, which isn't really a colour. It's going to be black stone chip, you know, it's just shorts underneath. But what I don't want to do, I don't want to go any further than that. Like, yes, it's got to look nice when you open it. I'm not just making something excellent for the MOT man to look at. You know, this is going to be a daily driver. Doesn't really need paint where you can't see it, but definitely door shuts, stuff like that have just got to look right. So let's get some glass on that. Let's get a little bit further to driving this thing down the street. Oh my God, that's going to be nuts. It's going to be the maddest thing ever. So then, as always, I've cut my fiberglass before I start. Just makes everything a lot tidier. And I'm going to stick 2 layers of fiberglass on with contact adhesive, just so it's all on there, it's where I want it to be, and then I go on with the resin. Don't be doing this thing, wetting the resin out or laying the resin on. I have no idea where that's come from. You don't need to do it. Just do it like this. It's like really neat, really tidy. You know, keeps the job sort of contained in this area rather than, oh wow, fiberglass can get very messy. But this simplifies the whole thing, makes it nice and easy. Think of this, it's like a third hand. It's just holding it there while you get it right. So let's get some of this on, stick these on, and then we can move on to the resin. So the point to mention here is when I glass this in, I am glassing it also into this steel here, and this is the main brace at the back of the car. It holds the rams to the ram, you know, this is really strong. So once this is glassed in, it's going to just make the whole thing a lot more rigid, a lot more solid, a lot more durable. Yeah, all right. Done on this, you might notice I've left this just overlapping, as you can see here. What I'll do is let this dry, and then I'll trim that back once it's dry, and then get the other edge. So like around here, I'll get this after this is dry, and then I can butt the two up plenty of resin down the corner, and then, you know, it just makes a tidier job. Because don't forget, whenever you do hair, you've got to fill over at some point, so best to keep it as tidy as possible. That's all glass. I'll leave it overnight, come back to it tomorrow, trim those bits off, a little bit more glass on, and then that has really shored up the back of the truck, and also it will look a lot nicer, you know, when the back opens and everyone sees up its fundament. Yeah. The fiberglass is all dry now, and it's looking pretty good. Absolutely rock solid. Just needs trimming up. I'll maybe add a bit more to it. But for this week's video, or is it a film? No, it's just a video, isn't it? That's all we've got time for. So we'll come back to that in the future. But be sure in the knowledge, the internals of the 60s truck's fundament is going to look lovely. Well, that's about it for another week. Not about it, that really is it. Just, you know, click subscribe, do all those things, follow us, bell icon. I'll be back next time with more. I know more stuff, definitely more than this week anyway. More Kustom Works, it's going to be great. So, until then, I thank you very much and good night.